ஹரியோம் நம சிவாய வாழ்க நாதன் தாழ்வாழ்க இமைப்பொழுதும் என் நெஞ்சில் நீங்காதான் தாழ்வாழ்க. Dear family and friends, today I'm actually not going to do Kantha Sashti. I don't think I will do, Kantha Puranam. But rather, remember in the last chapter I mentioned about Lord Shiva taking on the five-face form, Panchamurti. I think I would like to spend a little bit more time in this area before we go into. Actually, I'm supposed to do. We did the birth of Lord Muruga, and where he was sent to the Saravana pond, Saravana Poigai, and then the Karthikeya Pengal given the responsibility to look after him. But after that, while that was happening, something else happened in Kailash. So that, if time permits, I will do today, otherwise I will do tomorrow. But today what I want to do is, because it's very, very interesting, this aspect of the five faces of Lord Shiva. So, so the five faces, as I mentioned earlier, you have the Isana Mugam, Tatpurusha Mugam, Aghora Mugam, Vamadeva Mugam, and Satyojada Mugam. These are the five faces. Besides that, as I mentioned, there's the sixth face, which is not mentioned in most of the texts, except for in Kantha Puranam it's mentioned, because the six faces were relevant in the birth of Lord Muruga, which I've already mentioned in the earlier chapters. If you have forgotten, you can go back and refer to it. Now, the reason why this is important is that it's got a lot of inner significance. From each face, the five faces mentioned in the literature, each one had five forms, and that is very important. Now, the Isana Mugam, which I mentioned, this is the first one, the Isana Mugam. And from that, you have got Somaskandar. I'm sure you all would have heard of Lord Shiva, Somaskandar, Nadarajar, Tillayambala Nadarajar, the dancing form of Lord Shiva, and then Rishabharudar. This is where he sits on his Rishabha Vaganam, Rishabharudar, and then Kalyana Sundara. This is the wedding form, and Chandrasekhara. So you see, all these names are Shivan's names, Chandrasekhara. Then from the Tatpurusha phase, you have got another five forms. See, each phase, five phases, from each one has got five forms. So here we have Picharanar, the first one, Kamari, the second one, Kalari, the third one, Salandarari, the fourth one, and the fifth one is Tripurari. Tripura means all the, the three lokas. Then from the Aghora phase, you have got another five. Kajam Samharar. Samhara means destroyer. Then Veerabhadra. Dakshinamurti is the form that he took when Manikavasagar, when he was going to purchase the horses, the Lord appeared as a guru, sat under the tree, and he Tane Vande, they will say what, the Lord himself comes and gives him blessing. Tane Vande Atkonda Sivabarman, Dakshinamurti. As Dakshinamurti, he gives blessings to Manikavasar and told him to compose all the songs, which time permits, I will do it later. And then the last one is Nilakanta, the form where Lord Shiva keeps the Alakala Visham in his throat. Then from the Vamadeva phase, another five phase, that is Gangadharar, Chakravardhar, Gajandigar, Sunday Sanukragar, and Egapadar. Some of these names we have not heard. Then from the Satyojada phase, another five aspects were created. That is Lingodbhavar, That's the Lingam, Shivalingam. Lingodbhavar, Suhasanar, Umamagesar, Ariharar, and Arthanari. I'm sure you all would have heard of Arthanari. This concept is only found in Hinduism. If you go to any other religion, they will talk about God, but they never mention whether God is male or female. And there's always this gender biasness. Often this question of whether God is male or female arises. But in Hinduism, there is absolutely no qualm about that, because the Adi Yogi, Shivan, takes the form of half man, half female. That is Arthanarishwarar. Now, the explanation for each phase, the 5 phases, is here. When Lord Brahma prayed towards Lord Shiva in the eastern direction, Lord Shiva took this Satyojaga form, and he was a very, very beautiful form, and in white. He was very fair, white, and he looked very young. That's his form, the Satyojadam. Satyojadam. So, and of course, Brahma is a blessed God, because he got to see all these forms of Lord Shiva. Then, again, Lord Brahma started praying to Lord Shiva in the northern direction. And when that happened, he took the Vamadevam form. Now here, he appeared red in color, reddish form, and he was adorned with snakes around his neck, his arms, and also he carried in one hand if you all have seen in certain forms of Shivan, he'll be carrying a deer in one hand, and the other hand they said Maru. I need to find out what exactly this means. So this is known as Vamadevam. Then Tatpurusham. In Tatpurusham, it's a very important form, That is the reason why I wanted to go through it. Now don't worry, I will translate all these into English, and then I will put it together for your benefit later as appendix to what I'm doing now. Now, as I said, the Tatpurusham, he was facing the eastern direction and praying to Lord Shiva, and this time Lord Shiva appeared to him in golden form. It was a glorious golden form, and in his Jadamudi, that matted hair, he had the moon, the crescent moon, and so this was known as Tatpurusham. And Lord Shiva was so happy with the prayers of Brahma. What he did was, from his form, he created a female form, a very beautiful female form, and told Brahma, this is Gayatri Devi. And that is the form that if you go to certain temples in Puttaparthi, Bhagavan Sai Baba's abode, there is a temple for Gayatri Devi. And Gayatri Devi, the Gayatri mantra is from her, Gayatri Devi. So this mantra was created to enlighten us, and those who pray to Gayatri Devi, the belief is that they will never go to hell. All their sins will be forgiven. Then the fourth form, this is when Brahma was praying in the southern direction, and Lord Brahma appeared. This is another very popular form, Aghoram. Aghoram means terrifying form. Here he appeared three-eyed. His Netrikan is open, and in one hand a sword, and his form was very, very dark. And uh, he was also filled with ash, and because of this terrifying form, this is called Agora. And I don't know how many of you are aware, there are Agoris in India. If you go for the Kumbh Mela, or I'm sure if you go to northern Haridwar and all these places, you can see these people. Most of them will not wear anything. They will only be covered with sambal, and they look terrifying. That's why they are known as Agoris. But these are all very highly evolved souls. And the last, the fifth phase is Anand, and here he was praying towards the sky. He's covered all the four directions. The fifth is praying towards the sky, and here the Lord appears fully covered in ash, the ash color, and again three-eyed, and he appeared with two female forms. Here he appeared with two female besides him, and they are, one is the mother of all Mayan, from Mayan right up to all the devas were created by her, the mother of all. This is the first female form, one of them. The second one is Saraswati, who is seated in the white lotus, Kalimagal. Saraswati is another name, is Kalimagal. So these two forms were with him when he appeared as the Isan, with the Isanam face. So according to the Aidigam, the belief is that if you pray to this five-faced form of Lord Shiva, you will attain a lot of peace, tranquility, and your wishes will come true. I don't know to what extent people believe in this, but I will put the picture of Lord Shiva in this form. Now, I mentioned that in the 14th chapter, Murugan was created in the Saravana Poigai. Now, when the sparks from Lord Shiva, the 6 sparks, landed in Saravana Poigai, Murugan's form, the original form, was 12 hands, 6 faces. A baby with 12 hands and 6 faces. So when the Karthikey Pengal, they were asked to bring him up, and they entered the pond, they were shocked. Very unusual baby. Now, how are 6 of them going to carry, cuddle, and bring up this baby? So they started praying to Lord Shiva, and immediately the 6-faced, 12-hand Murugan transformed into 6 little babies, each one in a lotus flower. And of course, the Karthikey Perangal, each one carried the baby, and they were very, very blessed to look after him. Now, remember, Murugan is still in the baby form. Now, while this was happening in Saravana Poigai, we are going a little bit back. When Shiva went into this very aggressive form, for his third eye to open and the sparks come out, everybody ran helter-skelter, including Parvati. She has never seen the Lord, this part of his form. So she too ran. When she ran, she was wearing this, not salangai, they used to call this silambu. Silambu was a form of jewelry worn by ladies in the olden days. So inside the silambu, Normally, to create a sound effect, they will have various kinds of jewels inside it. Like in Silappatikaram, they had Kannagi was wearing a silambu, and I think I'm not too sure what they call. I think she was wearing inside it was manikam stone. So because the king's wife's one was what pearls inside. Madurai was very famous for pearls even now. So okay, let's come back to our story. So here Parvati was wearing the silambu, and inside there were gems. So when she ran, her legs rubbed into each other, and the silambu broke, and 9 jewels fell out. And Lord Shiva looked at the jewels, and he put both his hands forward and said, "Come to me." When he did that, the jewels turned into 9 female forms, and they prayed to him because they wanted to merge with him. And Lord Shiva blessed them, and all of them became pregnant. Now there is definitely a reason for this. Okay, there was no intimacy, there was no closeness, but because of the Lord's wish, they became pregnant. And then what they were carrying were the various forms of Nandi in their womb. Their pregnancy was the Nandi forms in each one of the 9 of them. Parvati came back. After everything had subsided, she came back. But she was furious because number one, she did not conceive Murugan. And she felt that this was because of the Devas scheming. So immediately she cursed them. She said the Devas will not have any children with their wives. Number one. Number two, she was so annoyed to see these 9 female forms surrounding her Lord. And again, out of anger, she cursed that they will carry their pregnancy to eternity. They will not give birth. The 9 female forms, the Navadevi, Lord calls them Navadevi. They become terrified, but there's nothing they can do. Lord, the Parvati, the half of Shivan has already cursed them to go through that. So they went through that. The womb was getting, the fetus was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but they could not deliver. This went on for a long time. And then Lord Shiva called Parvati and told her, "Calm down, calm down. All this has got reasons. Make sure, bless them, and let them have their babies." So Parvati does that, and all the 9 Navadevis, they give birth to 9 Nandi forms. Now this is interesting. I need to read this out from the book for you all. Now, these Navasakti, those of you who are familiar with Lalita Navaratnamala, I recite this for the 9 days during Navaratri. Now, actually, these 9 female forms, they are the manifestation of Devi. Okay, so the first one is Manikavalli. See, the 9 Devis during Navaratnamala, they are all the 9 gems. 9 is a very significant number in Hindu mythology. We have got Navagraham, the 9 planets, Navadevi, the 9 forms of the Devi, and so on. There's many very a lot of importance given to the number 9. So we have got Manikavalli, one form, and from her, the son she had in the Nandi form was Veerabhagusham. Then we have Muttuvalli, from her Veerakesari. Pushparagavalli, from her Veeramagendran. Komedagavalli, from her Veeramageshwaran. Vaiduryavalli had his name was Purandaran. Vajravalli, Veerarashashan. மரகதவல்லி வீரமார்த்தாண்டன், பவளவல்லி வீராந்தகன், Indra Neelavalli Veeradranum appeared. So 9 of them. Now the reason why these 9 warriors, Nandi form warriors were created was Lord Shiva wanted them to be the 9 lieutenants of Murugan, his forward troops in the war. So he blessed them. They were, you see, because they were carried in the womb for so long, and they were born, they were already fully formed young men. And so the Lord told them, now go, you will serve Murugan with 100,000 soldiers we already have here. You will serve Murugan in the war against the demon. And they all took his blessings and agreed to be the servants of Murugan. Now, after that, the Lord and Parvati was already fully calm. He told her, come, let's go and see our son Murugan in the Saravana Poigai. So both of them got onto their Rishiba Vaganam and they left for Saravana Poigai. When they arrived there, Murugan was playing with the 6 Karthikeya Pengal. Now, Devi was so pleased to see Murugan. She was so happy. She put out her hands and called him. And that's when all the 6 forms came together as one form. And the coming together of the 6 forms into one, Lord Shiva, because of that transformation, he named him Kanthan. So that is how Murugan got his name Kanthan. Because he was born in the Saravana Poigai, he was called Saravanan. So many names. Now, Devi was so pleased. She carried him, hugged him, and when she did that, her breast started oozing with milk, and she fed Murugan with the milk from her own self. Now, what happened was, and the bonding, she was very, very happy. Earlier, remember, she was telling that she did not give birth to Murugan, but now she realizes that it is her own son. And then the Lord called the Karthikeya Pengal and told them, because you looked after him so far, he will also be called Karthikeyan because of the Karthikeya Pengal. That's how he got his name, Karthikeyan. And then, now, if you go to Google and Google for Soma Skanda Kachi appearance, Soma Skanda. Now, Soma Skanda is where Lord Shiva and Parvati are seated on the Rishiva Vaganam, and in the middle is Murugan. That's what they call, and because the day that he was named Karthikeyan is also the Kritikai day. So that is why they say that on the Kritikai day, Sashti, if you pray to Murugan, all your needs will be fulfilled. I don't know how far it's true, but of course it's an auspicious day for prayers and meditation. Now, the last part of this chapter is when Parvati was feeding Murugan, some of her breast milk flowed into the Saravana pond. And in that pond there were some fish, which were actually not fish. They were actually sons of a sage. But because the sage was so angry with the sons, I don't know what they did, he cursed them to be fish. And by feeding on the milk that flowed into the water, their curse was removed and they appeared in front of Lord Shiva. And what he told them was, you be here. You be here. Later, Murugan will come back to the Saravana Poigai and he will be your divine teacher to teach you about spirituality and yoga. Now with that, I'm going to stop here now. Now this is the first time I'm actually going to edit the video because the size of the video is too huge and it takes a long time for me to upload it. So I'm going to edit this. Hopefully I can do it by tonight and post it to you all. Thank you. Good night.